Think about the last argument you had with your spouse. Were you trying to understand them or were you trying to prove your point? Because the difference often determines whether the conflict brings a couple closer together or slowly pushes them apart. Let's get into it.
Let's get started.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a marriage that lasts as a Muslim. I'm Zahra Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 4.5 years.
And let's get started.
Let's get started.
So this week's episode is entitled, How Strong Couples Repair After Conflict Instead of Growing Apart.
Yes.
Okay, very interesting, intriguing title. Okay, so today is Monday. And on Mondays, we usually make episodes for single people. But we were running I was running the Tire Camel Challenge last week.
Yes.
So we weren't able to get to the episode for married people. And that's what we're working on today. The episode for singles will be coming up on Thursday, In Shaa Allah.
In Shaa Allah.
Having said that, with respect to today's topic, if you've been following along on our podcast, you'll know that I'm very big on perspective. I think that the solution to every problem begins with understanding or the most helpful perspective possible, or the one that's closest to objective truth as possible. And today will be no different. This episode will be focused on understanding how healthy couples see conflict and in a general way, how it is that they start to repair conflict. And we'll go into more details on the next episode for married people.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, a key factor of understanding your partner is walking a mile in their shoes.
Okay.
Right? And I would walk 500 miles for you as long as you're walking next to me holding my luggage.
And then you'd walk 500 more?
Yeah. Because you wouldn't be able to go very far.
Yes.
Because you're holding the luggage.
Yes.
Obviously.
Okay.
So I'd have to walk back every couple of steps and pick you up. So I'd be walking effectively double the distance.
All right. I think we've gone as far as we can with this joke.
La da da la da da la da da.
Okay. So if I were to ask you, what is it that you think that healthy couples do during conflict that actually prevents the conflict from doing any damage to their relationship?
I feel like not engaging in a fist fight, first of all.
Okay.
That's really important.
Okay.
But secondly, trying to understand the other person's perspective. It might not simply be a case of, oh, they're angry at me because of this one thing that I did. It could be accumulation of oh, they had a hard day at work, or they had a hard day taking care of business, and that stress suddenly piled up to become too much, and this one thing was what broke their back. And so it's not necessarily, sometimes they're just not angry at you to the extent that they're expressing it, but it might just be the final straw in their day.
Honestly, that could have just been, you summarized so beautifully everything that we're about to talk about that we could technically just walk away here.
I tend to do that often, I find.
Yeah, you do. Barakallah feek. But we're just going to go through the episode anyway.
Yes.
It's okay with you?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So in general, we've done many episodes on conflict resolution. It's something that I focus on a lot with couples during coaching. That tends to be the biggest focus, is on helping them find resolutions or resolve their fights, or learn how to resolve their fights. And over the years, I've come to the understanding that there's generally 3 different types of conflicts, right? There's the quick fixes. There's going to be the one discussion conflicts, the ones that only need a one discussion. These are the quick fixes.
Those are the liquids.
There will be the multiple discussion conflicts. These are the slow fixes.
Solids.
Okay. And there are the no amount of discussions is going to fix this issue. These are the no fixes.
Gas.
All right.
It follows. It really does.
It does.
The quick fix, it's liquid, right? So you can just pour it directly into the bottle. The multiple discussions, you can't put a solid into a bottle. You're going to have to break it up over multiple attempts, right? And then the gas, how are you going to get gas in the bottle? You can't see the gas.
Yeah.
You'd have to have some super scientific experimental method
See,
to put
this is one of those things that I would understand in year 4.
And most people don't have the equipment or the expertise, right? Like they don't have the knowledge or know-how or tools to be able to perfectly capture the gas without it being exposed to the impurities of, like, well, let's say you have nitrogen, right? And then it gets escaped into the air. How are you going to be able to separate nitrogen and oxygen as a layperson? You need professional help.
Of course.
You need tools. You need the know-how. I feel like it's a very apt description.
Okay, I will. I'm going to take your word for it, and we'll get back to the state of this question. Yes?
Yes.
All right.
Plasma.
Okay, so the question was the explanation was that there's 3 different types of conflicts.
Yes.
Right? The quick fixes, slow fixes, and no fixes. So with respect to most marriages are okay with the quick fixes or even with the slow fixes, right? So you're going to have some issues that might require 3 or 4 discussions, and then eventually you get to some sort of happy medium, some happy compromise. But every couple, especially the longer you're married, knows that there are many, many, many no fix conflicts in your marriage. Most of them are tolerable, but there's usually a few that are pretty big and come up over and over again. So then the question becomes, well, what do you do? How do you deal with that? If you have, I'll give you an example. A very extremely common one that comes up in coaching is related to where do we live? Should we live here in the city where I grew up, or the city over there where you grew up? I need to live here in this city because we have young children. I'm a mom and I need help from my parents. We should live here closer to my city. And the other person will say, or the husband will say, well, my parents are aging. They can't really move. I need to be close to them in order to be able to keep a close eye on them. These are both valid arguments, right? And this is one of those no fix solutions. So where massive compromises are going to have to be made. Yeah. So how do you deal with these issues?
Especially more difficult if the woman's family doesn't have a son that can take care of the parents in her stead.
Yeah, of course. Right? So there's all kinds of variables at play. But the point is that there will be so many different issues that'll come up in your marriage that will fit in this category. And we're going to talk about how to approach those in general. So Gottman, right? Surprise, surprise. I'm going to be referring to him in this episode as well. He also speaks about this idea, right? And he speaks about the idea of there being perpetual problems that are ongoing or unlikely to disappear. He refers to them as perpetual problems. What's interesting is the underlying issue for the perpetual problems is usually gridlock, right? Which is a problem that is perpetual because it represents something deeper emotionally. So the idea is whenever you come across 2 differing opinions, and you'll find that both people or one person is very staunchly ingrained, 10 toes down, I need it to be this way, this is my 100. It's usually there is an emotional, deeper meaning behind it. And that's the reason why they're having a harder time compromising. And the same might be true for the other spouse. So by the time the spouses come to see me, it's because each of them has a deeper emotional meaning connected to their perspective. Yeah. And those are the most difficult to come to a compromise with, but it's not impossible. Okay. So that's the overall landscape of describing these types of problems. Well, now how do you fix them? In general, there are 2 dimensions to fixing it. Number 1 is related to setting the stage or the stage in which you're going to start to address this problem. If there's a deeper emotional meaning related to the problem, that means this is not all being handled in the conscious plane. There's going to be a lot of subconscious aspect to this issue, and people can become easily triggered, and you can't just have a casual conversation about it. Yeah. Out for a walk.
Typically, solutions, resolutions,
yes.
they're not spontaneous,
Yeah.
right? Usually they are staged.
Yeah, especially if this is something that you have some sense that this is deep emotional meaning for you or your spouse, it's going to require some attention at creating the right circumstances to have this discussion. Now, what do we mean by the right circumstances? Number one of the things that you've invested in your marriage up until this point is creating that emotional safe space.
Yeah.
So having that safe space is deeply and vitally important when you're having these types of discussions, because there's so much emotional meaning attached to it. That means there's going to be so much vulnerability required in solving it. And the only way that vulnerability can exist is in an emotional safe space where there is no fear of judgment. And each member, each spouse understands that they're not going to be attacked for being honest and for being transparent. And we've had multiple episodes talking about how to establish that emotional safe space. I will link one of them in the description below. In Shaa Allah.
In Shaa Allah.
The second thing that you're going to do, and this goes along with emotional safe space, but you have to do this more consciously when you're having one of these discussions. Gottman talks about this aspect a lot, is that you need to be checking in, not always verbally, but just mostly by observation and by the use of your language and the tone that you're using, all of these things. You need to be checking in and prioritizing how your spouse feels during this very tough conversation. Ideally, they're doing the same thing for you. So think of it like, if I give an example, if you are having a very difficult conversation with your mother, somebody that you care about deeply, and whose feelings you care about deeply, and you want to talk to her about something that she really wants you to do but you don't want to do, or vice versa. So you're gonna have to sit down. Like it's like that. You're let's say that a common situation would be that your mother wants you to change jobs to this other job, but you really don't want to. And you know how much this means to her, because she's worried. This job that you have now, we'll say, is as a police officer, and she's worried for your safety. But you really like this position. You really like the people you work with. So because there's so much emotion attached to it for her, you're not going to just have this, during a car ride. You're going to sit down, pay attention to her emotional state, make sure she's calm, and say, Mom, I'd really like to talk about the job now. And during that whole conversation, you're just checking in to see how she's doing. Like that same mindset with your spouse, because your spouse is also your family.
Absolutely.
In Shaa Allah. So prioritizing how your spouse feels and checking in with them. This second part about checking in with how your spouse feels, ideally this is something that you've been practicing every single day, by tuning in every single day, by turning towards your spouse every single day. So we've talked a little bit about how to do that daily during the culture of your relationship in episode 102, entitled Why Date Nights Aren't Fixing Your Marriage. We went into a little bit of detail, so I recommend you check that out. The reason why is because all of the skills that we've talked about in the marriage episodes beforehand are going to be very important when it comes to having these conversations, right? So establish an emotional safe space and prioritize your spouse's feelings and keep checking in with their feelings. That's the general idea for the setting.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So now let's talk about the actual perspective. Like, how are we going to approach having this conversation, having this discussion? So the idea, the overall idea, if I were to summarize it, would be to shift the focus from solving the problem to instead trying to be curious about understanding your spouse's perspective, right? So if you're having that situation where, you've always dreamed about living in a condo, but your spouse has come down hard saying, I really want to live in a house. So the two of you need to sit down and have this conversation, because it's emotionally charged for some reason. You're not sure why. You have all these great reasons why you should be living, like it's cheaper, it's closer to both of our work, it's easier to maintain, etc. These are all valid reasons. But your spouse, you've noticed over the previous few weeks, is not really budging. They still seem to be really set on a house. So when you have this conversation in that appropriate setting we just discussed, instinctively, what most of us do is we get into persuading mode. Yeah. I'm going to persuade you. I'm going to give you all of this evidence and all of these facts, which are valid, that you should come to see that this is the right way to do things. That can work for the quick fix and slow fix problems. Yeah. But because for the no fix problems, these types of problems, there's so much emotional content, most of which you're not aware of yet. That's not going to work. Right. Yeah. So this is not going to really be a discussion that's going to be had from a logical place. Most of it is going to be coming from, I want to understand emotionally. What is going on? What is the underlying emotional motive that's behind you having this stance, right? So that's the perspective that you're going to be bringing into it. Okay, yeah. So let's have this conversation. Let's say I really want a condo, you want a house. Okay. You really want a house. Yeah. Okay, so let me start with my opening statement. I want a house? You want the house, I want the condo. Okay. I'll start with my opening statement. Okay. I would like a house. All right. But okay. Can you help me understand what, because we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. Yeah. And a house, it has a yard. Okay. Right. There's a opportunity for a basement. You can turn that into a games room, billiards and whatnot. You can build stuff in the garage, like lumber. You can store things like fishing equipment or anything like that, you know. If I were to go hunting, for example, I would be able to prepare what I caught in the garage. Okay. So all of that's coming from a logical standpoint, and that's all valid points that make perfect sense to me. Just thinking about it right now, let's do the opposite way, where you still want the house, I want a condo, but you're confused about why I want a condo because you found this great house that is actually cheaper, and you're like, listen, this house is cheaper, it's in this location, what's going on with you? Yes. And you're asking me, I understand what's happened. Okay. My argument was so powerful that we're switching roles now. That's exactly what happened. Gotcha. All right. All right. So. Okay. I found a house. Yes. And you know all the benefits of the house. I don't need to explain it to you. We went over that over and over and over again. Okay. But you're still set on getting this condo. Why do you want the condo so much? I think, honestly, like, I understand everything you're saying about the house. But the condo feels safer to me. Oh, safety. Yeah, because like I understand that the house that you found was in a generally safe area and everything, but houses have multiple points of entry, whereas a condo has one point of entry. Yes, but rebuttal. Yes. Houses, they may have multiple points of entry, but they still need to go through me to get to you. This is true, and I appreciate that. But it just makes me feel a lot safer because they'll have security in the building, and they'll have there'll be more camera. There's just a lot more. I see. It's a lot harder to get to somebody in a condo than it is to get someone in a house. Well, what if we just get more cameras then? Honestly, I would still. What if we board up all the doors except for one? I like. That's going to be a difficult way to live. Yeah, right? I guess. Yeah. Like, how set are you on having a house? Because I can tell you it's really important to me to have a condo. I mean, I really wanted a house, you know, for like all the obvious positives and benefits for a house. And I don't think that a potential burglary is significant enough of an issue for the area that we chose. Yeah. That it might actually. Well, if I would stop you there. Be a burden. What I would do at this point, when your spouse is being super vulnerable, right, and talking about the underlying emotional motivation for what's going on, It's very important to validate that because it's hard.
Oh, you know what? I thought we were doing the gas option where
Oh,
there's
no.
no solution.
Yes, there is no solution, but whenever you're having these discussions
Yeah.
where they're just seeing people are at loggerheads, where they're just each person is entrenched in their point of view,
Mm-hmm.
and when you can clearly see that, okay, my point of view has a lot of valid points, I think there might be something emotional going on with my spouse and with me. So you
Mm-hmm.
go and you do the work and to try to understand your emotional motivation, but also when you come to have this discussion, it's not going to be really about persuasion. It's going to be trying to understand what's going on with you emotionally that you really have this stance.
So what happened in your life to make you scared of living in a house?
Well, there was when alhamdulillah, may Allah protect us all, none of this happened. But I'll say that when I was much younger, there was a robbery. When it was just me and my sister and my mom, somebody came into the house. And I remember they came in through the window when we were sleeping.
Yeah.
And we didn't really notice until in the morning when we woke up when we saw that the house was disheveled.
I remember you told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They ended up catching the guy the week after,
yes.
but like,
But still, like I still carry that within me. That's why whenever I was living somewhere on my own, I always chose apartments and condos
yeah.
because they made me feel a lot safer. Right? Like definitely I have a lot of work to do to try to get past that. I haven't really gone to therapy for that. But it's something that stays with me, and I think it will be harder for me to deal with in a home. And I was hoping we'd come to some kind of compromise. So maybe like a duplex.
I miss my best friend. He went to jail for life
All right.
because of that.
That was you? Okay. All right. So do you see towards the end of it,
Yeah.
right? Once there's a more emotional, like there's some understanding of what's going on, then what it does is it helps to give you super important context, right? Because the fact is that your spouse is not being against you just to be against you.
Yeah.
Right? That's not, they have their reasons.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're aware of their reasons, sometimes they're not. But either way, because you have this emotional safe space between you and because it's your spouse, you're their spouse, I don't want to say it's a responsibility or it's your role. But one of the beautiful aspects about marriage is that you can sort of have these conversations to start to name what is the emotional these emotional attachments that would not come up under any other circumstance, right? So this fear, this fictional fear of robbery, it's not really going to come up with my friends or with work or with other settings, but it is going to come up with you. So it's in that case, it's a really good opportunity for you or the spouse to help me to start to open that and process that and figure out what the next steps. And at the end of that conversation, when you start to have some understanding and context for why they're feeling this way, it helps you to soften as well and to be more open to the idea of compromise, of finding some halfway point. So a halfway point might be instead of a full condo, would you be open to a duplex? Because I really would like a yard. Right?
That leads me to my backstory.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm so dead set on having a house, specifically the house that we looked at, right?
Okay.
Was because I made a promise to my best friend that when he gets out of jail, he's going to find me in that house, in that neighborhood.
All right.
And like the trip to the jail it's so far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to go that far just to tell him, hey, we're abandoning the plan. We're going to a condo, you know? So like,
honestly, I'm upset for the fictional version of me enough to.
I'm weighing my options here, you know, like upset my wife or travel the distance to the jail.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, it's such a hard decision.
Guess who won?
There you go. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense.
You did, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But hopefully that makes sense, right? So that's the perspective that we're going to be bringing to the situation. That the perspective is to try to understand your spouse's emotional attachment to their stance, right? And if there's an energy to bring to that conversation, it would be to try your best to be curious. If there was going to be a word for these discussions, it would be to be curious. Because what is it? There's something that they didn't tell me about in their life, and I care about this person, and I want to know what's been so painful that they're having a hard time letting go. So curiosity.
Yes. And just as a disclaimer, the scenario was fictional.
Yeah.
And I do not have any friends in jail, nor have I ever had any friends in jail, as far as I know. Alhamdulillah.
So far.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so perhaps some people that I knew could be in jail, but I don't know about that.
No, I mean that's and I don't
Homer
think
Simpson.
Yeah, the Simpsons movie where he goes so far. Yeah.
Was this? This is the worst day of my life. The worst day of your life so far.
Exactly. It's the optimistic way. Okay. And I didn't spend too much time on it, right? But the important part is that once that there is some perspective there and there's some empathy there, it'll be easier for you to see the spaces where compromise is possible.
Yes.
And so that there might not be a full fix to these solutions, but there might be a fix that both of you can live with. Even if that represents you completely giving in to moving into a condo. It's very different understanding why your spouse wants to move into a condo, because you want them to feel safe and secure, and that might shift your equation for whether or not you want a house or a condo, right? Yeah. So that empathy and that understanding and that context, honestly, make a big difference. I'm going to give a small example that I saw many years ago, but I think is apt in so many different places. There was an Instagram video of a mother who was teaching gentle parenting, right? Which I think is wonderful and beautiful. Where her son she had bought him one of those mini working kitchens. Like it was a beautiful, like pretty expensive working kitchens with like a fridge, a sink, and all these things to help teach them a little bit of independence. This little boy was maybe 3 years old. And she heard the fridge making weird sounds. And she opened it and she saw that it was just full of oil. Yeah. That he had somehow gotten to the oil, which is not great because that's a safety issue for kids, and had just covered the fridge inside of it with oil. Yeah. And she didn't get upset. So she called her son and she had this conversation. And she said, can you explain to me what happened with the oil? And he said, I thought that it wasn't working because it wasn't cold. And I saw on the TV, so he meant like a cartoon, that whenever something with a motor, like something electrical is not working, you put oil on it and it starts working better. Yeah. So his intention was not to destroy it, but for it to become, to work, to fix it. And I think that's very important, right? So that was that always helped me to understand when it comes to children, when it comes to people, that regardless of what you see on the outside, that there might be something deeper. Actually, almost always there is something deeper that from their perspective that you're just not seeing, that can help you really understand what's going on from their side. Hopefully that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So because this is one of those perspective episodes, we're going to keep it short. We're going to end it here, In Shaa Allah. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments below. I know this is a little bit abstract, but the next episode for married people, we're going to be focusing on how to apply this, giving real life questions from real life couples where they have these problems, and then we will role play these discussions and talk a little bit in detail about how to have these discussions, because they're so important. Right? If I would to put a number on it, I would say probably 70% of what I do with couples coaching is with these no fix problems. Yeah. Right. So that's everything. If you are married and you would like some pointers on how to build up that bond that is so important in order to fix these no fix problems, I have the Happy Healthy Marriage Guide in the description below that lists out daily habits, weekly habits, and monthly habits that can help you to improve the bond that you have with your spouse. If you are searching for a coach, or you're interested in coaching, or you think you might benefit from coaching, I offer free consultations to see whether or not what I have to offer would be helpful for you and your spouse. And the link for that is in the discussion below. So that's everything. Jazaa K'Allah Khayr. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. And Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.